Okay, yesterday Mel leaped. True confession, I actually did a couple shots since the leap. So let's just look at where we're at and then we will move forward. Monkey is tormenting Mel. Are you? Boom. Okay, that's where we're at. So this shot, which I will freely admit is the first shot I've done in quite a long time where I went ahead and did it at 12 frames per second because I just couldn't get the shake to look right at 8 frames per second. It just looked too pokey. Okay, so poor Mel being tormented, and now we're gonna rock and roll and get busy here. I'm gonna go ahead and this is 255, so I guess yeah we can save that. Whoops. I guess we do this. We'll save it also as a Krita file. Let's close that. Create a new. Whoops. We don't want Mel's head. Let's create a new file, custom document, full HD, and pop in a layer. And actually, normally what I've been doing is kind of back to my old way, which was to just drag the image from the storyboard into my scenes so that I could then save over the storyboard image and still have the original version of it for reference anyway. So this would be saved therefore as number 256. Hello. Control S, and it's at minus 256. There it is. We save over it. Yes. And here's the magic part. We also save it as a Krita file at the same time. So now we have our reference. Let's go ahead and turn this down. And we can get busy. Now, what are we going to get busy on? It's maybe hard to see, but what we're going to do is we're looking at Mel now from behind. So let's just get going here. I'm going to hit insert so that we stick a key in here. And the previous shot kind of shows us that there's a bit of a flaw here. So what I'm going to do is, I think again, even turn this down a bit more. Essentially, well, actually, let's turn this up and let me sketch in a bit of a tweak. Okay, so I'm going to go to just let's blue line it, right? Okay, so we could say this is 3, this is 2. So what's missing is 1, and 1 would be Mel with his legs kind of stretched out behind him like this. So we're looking at his bottom. Okay, so there's his legs, and there he is over the, and maybe there's his hair, let's say. So he's laying on top of the laundry basket, and this would be shot number 1, and then he's got to move his legs up into this position and then pick himself up. Okay? So I think what I'm going to do for this shot, there's more than one way to approach this, but I think the basket's basically going to be in the background. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to drag this in here as well and shrink it down just so I can use this to reference the colors. So now I'm clicking here, and then after I click to select this, I'm hitting Control Shift, and that causes everything to be uniformly sized. And I'll just stick it up in the corner, and that way we can steal colors off it. So I'm going to hit the G key, grab that, and we'll call this layer color ref, and this, whoops, I didn't mean to turn that off. This is the layer. Okay, so I think what we'll do is let's just approach this very mechanically. So we're going to go insert, insert, insert. I'm inserting 3 keys. And as I'm looking at this, to me, the most useful thing to sort of figure out from an animation standpoint is his clothing. So I already selected the color of the garment. So okay, and then he's kind of laying over top of this like so. He has a belt on. That's what that little divot in there is about. It's probably a little too extreme, actually. Okay. All right. So now, unfortunately, I just made a mistake and put this on the 3rd frame. So we'll insert a key there as well. And now we go from this to this. Okay. I'm being careful here to be... Oh, I'm actually making another mistake, but that's okay. It's pretty easy to fix. Okay, believe it or not, this is actually the third frame, not the 2nd frame. So, well, I'm just replete with mistakes today. And now what I'm actually going to do is copy this one to here, hit the E key, and erase all that. So that I can then go like that. Okay. Now, who knows how many tweens we're going to need here. So I'm going to give this shot 24 frames at 8 frames a second. As usual, you got to just click somewhere after you change any of these numbers so that Krita won't, you know, when you hit a hotkey, if this is selected and now I hit the A key, let's say, to invoke the transform tool, it'll actually put an A in this little box, and then all of a sudden the shot will not be playing back correctly. Okay, so we know there's going to be a bit of a pause between when he boom, boom. So I think, gosh, we're going to have to do this the hard way. So boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Let's go here. And I'll tell you, I'm going to keep going with the G key and just see how this goes. So if we had a tween here, that would suggest something like this. Okay. And this would probably flatten out a bit as his leg goes around to the other side. So now I want to compare this to this. And we'll chop that out. Let's see if that, yep, that's looking about right. And then this, I think I don't want to be in erase mode, so let me just toggle between this and this. Okay. We'll just kind of get it over there. Okay. Here, this I would say we can do probably with the Animate tool. So let's... Okay, so that's where we're going to end up, so we might as well just split the difference. Let's just see what that feels like. Boom. Okay. Possibly this could stand to be motion blurred. Yeah, okay. So let's go with that. So now what I'm going to do is hit Control, or I'm sorry, again I'm going to hit Shift Alt Q. That switches my tool to behind mode. And I'm going to sample the flesh tone, and because we're in behind mode, that means I cannot accidentally draw over my my green stuff. And I want to give a little bit of an indication there of his calf. Okay, and we can see that his arm, I'm thinking about, I'm sort of debating um, trying to draw around the basket versus just drawing over him with the basket. It'd probably be better to draw over him, I suppose. So let's go ahead and put his arm in like that, and then the other arm is sticking over. This part's gonna be kind of important to get right. We got the got his arms kind of peeking out there. Okay, I'm not gonna bother with the hair yet. That's gonna be pretty easy. In fact, probably is going to be able to be drawn one time, and then I'll just draw his whole head and animate it without having to redraw it, I expect. So by the time he gets here, this arm, so I'm kind of doing the old work from the known to the unknown concept. So I know this arm's going to want to be here by the time we get to this frame. Okay. So I'm just going to go like that. Okay, so this one will go like this, and I'm just drawing it as kind of a triangle so that I can sort of be careful to get keep the length of it pretty accurate. And actually, this feels slightly long. Slightly long there. Okay. So I'm going to put that. And that reminds me, the last shot I need to go back and put his wrist straps on him. I forgot his wrist straps. Ironically, since I think yesterday while I was working, I actually said, don't let me forget to add his wrist straps. And then I went and forgot them. Okay. Okay, when we get here, I guess I'll make his bony leg a little bit less crinked up against his body. Okay. So here, now we've got to kind of do this the stupid way. Meaning drawing in little marks just so I don't lose my place. Oops. Okay, so now we have a problem. I can see. Really, it's a problem with the garment. The garment needs to be reconfigured a little bit. Okay, that's not too horrible. And I'm just gonna, again, from the known to the unknown, I'm gonna do what I'm pretty sure of here, which is his thigh. Okay, so this thigh is gonna move this way and fairly soon disappear behind the basket, and this right here would be the first time we would actually see his hand. And I would say here what we're going to have is his hand pressing off the ground. Okay, now this is not the strongest shot in the world because we're losing our silhouette, but it's not exactly a tragedy. We'll make it work. Okay, put an elbow there. So we got a little bit of foreshortening going on there. But that probably does the trick. And I'll just put that in there because the other thigh is going to have to kind of sort of appear in front of the basket, I think. It's actually probably going to be more like this, and it's going to wind up being, this part of it's going to be in shadow. So what did I say about the garment? Aha. We want to be back in normal mode, so Shift Alt N. Boom. Boom. And this, I think, could probably be stretched down just a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to just grab this dark color and put his belt in there. All right. Let's rock and roll on his hair. There's purple. And we'll actually go back to behind mode. So Shift Alt Q. And I actually don't think we need to let's not do that. Let's put this on another layer. Okay, so we'll call this layer Mel Bod. Add a layer and put his hair. Okay. This would obviously need to be behind. And now what that allows me to do is just use the animation tool to get the hair dialed in. So I'm going to hit Control Insert here, and then here we're going to go A key, see if that feels about right. Save our work. Boom. Boom. One more time. Boom. Okay. That is what we're after. And if we look at the storyboard, this shot's going to go by pretty quick, and then what we're going to do is we're going to cut to this angle from down, looking up from the other side of the laundry basket to see him rise into frame. And then we do a smash zoom where he's like, oh no, and then he sees that now this perfect garment in the basket has been ruined by all the ink that he just got on it, and that happens to be Asher's most important ceremonial robe. Never a good thing to destroy your master's ceremonial robe. So Control G to make these guys into a group, and that allows us simply to put in a shadow layer, which of course is alpha locked. Okay. So let's insert a key here and just rock and roll with the shadow for the moment. So I'm going to be in normal mode, or Shift Alt N, hitting the G key to invoke the freehand path tool. And let's draw some shadows. Let's draw some shadows. We love drawing shadows. Shadows, shadows, shadows. Shadows are the coolest thing. Yeah, not so much. But they are definitely helpful. Alright, so here we're going to go like that. And then this probably needs to be in shadow like that. Yeah, it's getting there. And then we'll just dial in the density. Something like that. Okay. So now here what I'm going to do is hit the E key and just erase the stuff that's definitely not working, so that I can keep the stuff that is working and not inadvertently introduce chatter into my animation. Don't you know? Okay, so this, I would say, this guy needs to be mostly in shadow. And we'll put a little bit of some nice little indicators of some wrinkleage. We are going to deal with outlines, by the way, at some point here before too long. Okay. And kind of the same operation again. Just kind of winging it. Figuring out what feels about right. This probably should come down all the way like that. Okay. I don't know if delineating the sinew that much is the greatest idea ever. I think not. So this probably could be in shadow, and I would think that hand would be completely in shadow. Okay. Here we'll just kind of start over. I do feel like the shadows probably are a little bit more dense than they should be. So let's turn them down just a little bit. Whoops. Okay, that was a mistake. Boom. Save. Save early, save often. Alright, insert a key and just kind of keep it loose. Just kind of feel it, baby. Feel it. There you go. And there you go. And how about a little bit of that? That's feeling alright. And we do want to put a little bit of shadow behind the hair. Like so. And probably hide his thumb. Okay. Now, Melbod. This is his hair. Okay, so I would say this layer might as well be baked down onto that one. Then what we're going to do is let's deal with outer outlines. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, move the copy down here, and we're going to add one filter mask, which is going to be a blur. And we're going to add another filter mask, which is going to be your adjustment curves, which is going to be something like this. Something like that. And looks to me like we've got, we're a little under on our alpha crunching. So let's crunch our alpha a little bit more. There we go. Yeah. Let's pull this back. Okay. And then while we're here, just because we can, let's take the red component. Okay, in order to do that, actually, we probably need to take the low level of this and raise it up a little bit. So we can then sneak some red into the... That's not working very well. Oh, I guess that would be okay though, I think. Let's do it this way. Let's grab this and actually put this in a subgroup. So Control G, and then we'll merge the group. Merge the group. So Krita's going to have to do a little thinking because it's got to process 2 filters on every single one of those frames. And it looks like it actually went pretty fast. So now if we play it back, we should have outlines. Yep, and we've got to go in and manually fix some of it, but so let's just bake that down. We might as well, and we'll just call this Mel. Alright, and now we will grab our quintessential outline color, hit the B key, and now let's just go in here and see what needs be done. Just kind of doing this loose and by feel. Loose, loose, loosey-goosey. Alright. Mm-hmm. Probably going to wind up having to fix this. It'll all make a little more sense once the basket is in there. That will elucidate what some of the things that need to be massaged a bit. So. And there definitely will be some stuff. Some stuff, I tell you, there's gonna be stuff. Stuff. Okay. Yeah. Little bit of that sinew indication. 1, 2, 3. And again, we are going to need to put his wrist straps in. I'll tell you what, let's do it this way. Let's grab this color, hit the G key, because as I recall, I think they were like a really dark purple. And if I get the color a little off on the wrist straps, my suspicion is that the world will keep on turning. So therefore, not going to sweat it too much. Okay, E key. We got a little too much mass here on this boy's arms. By the way, is this... Yeah, that needs to be raw. Stupid thing. You stupid thing. Always giving me grief. Always giving me grief when I least want it. Okay, we're gonna go back to that color and the B key. All right, so 2, 1, 2. It doesn't have to be like artistically. Whoops. Well, I mean, actually, that'll work. Correct these outlines. Definitely add a little detail here to the fingers. Here, I would say let's go like that and put in the indication of a thumbnail here. And we keep that loosey-goosey. I think it's fine. All right, let's back up just a little bit here. Folks, I think it's time to put the basket in. Actually, a little bit of correction here. We got to get this line, that line, and yes, we are going to fix that little problem right there. Don't you be worrying. Don't you be getting all Twitter-pated. All right. Crunch. Boom. Boom. Sometimes moving really fast. Well, it's kind of like those last couple shots I did that I didn't actually put on YouTube. It's really amazing how when you just keep it really loose and have fun, it goes quickly and it usually turns out well. Now there's a caveat to that. The caveat is there's a difference between going fast because you're trying to be in a hurry versus just having fun, and because you're just rocking and rolling, you just go fast, you know. So it's like speed as a side effect versus speed as a goal. When it's a goal, it usually backfires. When it's a side effect, it's quite cool. Okay, so this really needs to be that color, and then, like I said earlier, we will be doing something with that. Just not sure quite what yet, because we need to get that basket in there. So let's just say this is kind of a classic problem. And the problem being that the basket is both behind and in front of our character. So it seems to me the easiest way to approach that would be to, we'll call this basket behind. What we'll do is we'll just get the basket in there behind, and then that will show us where it's not working. And based on that information, we'll do the basket in front. Okay, so now I'm just looking to see if we have any large images of the basket. We kind of do, but I don't think they're going to be that helpful. So what I'm going to do is just go like this. Okay. And then, like I said, I'll just put this inside the Mel group, I think, but above the shadows. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is insert a key right there. I should probably save my work. I've been humming along here pretty good. Okay, yeah. So actually, I can see what's going on. Okay, so this can be gotten rid of. What we actually need to do, silly me, is just go into the Mel layer and just erase wherever it makes sense to do so. So we'll just get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, and then here we can come back here and Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go here and then modify the basket, and then go back in and take this key and just drag it back to the beginning, and then everything will work. So there's that. Okay. What I think I'm going to do is add black, alpha locked, with a really low opacity. And what that lets me do is go like that, kind of like that, and we can essentially build it up. And what I am going to say is, when we did it before, this is pretty much how we did it. Now I'm adding a little bit more detail here on the lip of the basket, and now I'm going to actually hit the tilde key, which for me is a hotkey, to solo the current layer. And we might as well just get everything out of there, and you'll see here in a moment how this will work. Okay. So I'm basically allowing kind of the randomness of the fact that the freehand path tool is being filled every time. So I'm letting that just introduce some natural variability into my shot. Now what I'm going to do is go like this. Let's make this slightly more opaque. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry, I probably shouldn't drive you all nuts by saying boom 800 trillion times. Now I'm going to switch to white. So now from a physics standpoint, does this manner of creating the texture in the basket, actually make any sense at all? Geez, guys, I would have to say probably not. Probably not. Probably not. The question is, do we care? And the answer is absolutely not a whit. All right, here we're going to actually hit this with a little bit more of the white. And just let that build up a little bit. Okay, back to black. And like I said, same idea. Just let it build up a little bit. Just kind of basically consider where the shadow areas would be, and then, as I say, let them build up a bit. And I would have to say, let's turn that off, sample that color, and just, hello? Guess we want to be fully opaque at this juncture. And here, we can just give the lip of the basket a little bit more definition. And right mouse clicking, by the way, on the drawing area to cause our little magical tool to pop up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is sample that color, but make it just a little bit darker. I would say that's probably working okay. Unsolo. Okay, so now this is going to be interesting. Let's take the basket and drag it back to here. And as you can see, we really need to put the basket up here in the mel layer, actually, specifically, so that we can expand our shadows a bit. All right. Hence, we can go like that, and it will actually kind of sort of work. All right. E key. Back to the G key. Yep. And here I would say maybe just take a little bit of that out. This should be, yeah, come on. This should be pretty much all lost in shadow, if the truth be known. Okay, and then here we're going to allow our shadow area to grow up a bit, like so. Boom. This should probably all be in shadow. Same thing here. Okay, by just putting the basket in the layer with Mel, we solve that problem. Now, obviously, we've also introduced a couple problems that we need to fix. Post haste. 1, 2. My bad. I put that in the shadow layer, which is a bit silly. Okay, there's the actual dimensionality of the leg. So now what we're doing essentially is going through and doing corrections and additions to sort of dial this in. As you can see, there will be a few. All right, so there's that. I would say here, what we want to do is go like this. I think just for kicks, I'm going to put a little bit of an indication here, just because I kind of like that idea. Whoops. Okay, so we do need, well, yeah, we need to be a little careful because the basket is behind Mel, so we sort of have to accommodate that fact. Okay, so here we got an interesting conundrum. Let's just cut all of that out so we can see what the heck we're doing. Oh, come on, really? What just happened was I was inadvertently invoking the brush tool instead of the freehand path tool. Hence, yeah, so this is about as difficult as it gets, and that's not very difficult if the truth be known, so I think we could probably do something like that and get away with it. Okay, now let's grab our outline color and our brush and start fixing things. Fix, fix, fix. Fix, fix, fix. And we'll just slink our way back here. We'll come back to that. Yep, that'll work. Okay, obviously we need quite a bit of help here. Boom. Yeah, that was a little sloppy. So yeah, normally it's probably easier slash more fun to draw and then fill with color. Here I'm obviously doing everything completely backwards. Hitting the G key and the E key so I can then use the freehand path tool in erase mode to do lasso-based erasing. Okay, so whoops, that was a mistake. That's not supposed to be there. This is like this, and gosh, I think what I'll do is just do the freehand path tool here, like so, and hit the 5 key. Okay, yeah, that's probably should be like that. Maybe a little more indication of the sole of the sandal, I think, if done somewhat carefully-ish. Okay, how are we doing on time? 45 minutes? Yeah, for a fairly complex scene, that's not too horrible. Okay. Yeah. All we need is a background. Let's see. He's got the... let's go back up here and just take a peek. Mr. Dyslexia here has to ballpark where what Mel's relative position is here. Basically, what do we got? If we were actually gonna be at this angle, then it's almost kitty corner to this. So we're looking from the river point of view, and I don't think there is another shot anywhere where we really were seeing things from that. Well, here we are. In truth, that's the background. We need to pull up 121 and see if we can stretch that into shape. So let's save this. And what was it I said? 221? Okay, so we're going to go. I can't talk. We're going to go. Yes, 221. Oh, there it is. How wonderful. Okay, yep, there it is. Okay, so here's the background. Ooh. Okay, mountains, trees, basket. I say we take the basket out. Got the clouds, that tree, pulley. Okay, so now to be fair and accurate, we would not see this, we would not see that, we would not see that. None of this. We wouldn't see any of that. So now I'm going to go Control E, bake all that down, copy the layer, go back here, paste the layer, and File, Save. Always save immediately after pasting a layer because I've found it to be one of the most likely ways to cause a crash. Okay, so we don't need the storyboard image anymore, but what we do need to do is scale this background and make it fit, and then decide if we need to adjust the level of detail. So frankly, this tree would be over here. I'm going to give myself a little latitude here, like so. Let's just see what happens. We're going to let Krita merge this. Okay. It's actually not horrible. We can't see the riverbank, so basically we're kind of getting away with it. Let's put this at actual size and see what we've got. And as you can see, what we've got is kind of a bit of a mess. Okay. Well, how do we address the mess? Address the mess. We're going to do it. We're going to make it work. I'm going to grab my quintessential foliage brush, hit the B key, and start doing a little cleanup here. And I'm going to actually put this at half opacity so that we can kind of ease it in. Okay, so we'll just kind of give this a little bit of variety. Variety being the spice of life, some people say. Yeah, some people. Who are those people anyway? What do they know? That's the question. Okay, kind of feeling like our saturation level throughout is a little bit strong. Let's hit Control M and just dial down. Well, yeah, probably a little bit. But then let's go to the here and just see if, yeah, maybe we can get this to sit in the mix just a little more nicely. There's a fine line we walk here with saturation, frankly. It's a subtle change, but I think it helps a little bit. Okay, so now, obviously, if we're going to have Mel doing this, and we are, then we need a shadow layer. We'll call this cast shadow. All right, I put it in the Mel layer so that we can put it in front of the, I'm going to actually make that full opacity. And I'm not actually sure if having the texture on this was the greatest idea ever. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's hit the G key so that we're actually using the freehand path tool, but we're using it with that brush. There we go. Alright, so let's go back here, hit Control Insert, and we'll just go through this whole thing and get these shadows working. Okay, and I think each time we'll just hit Control Insert so that we can then erase and or add as necessary. By the way, I'm aware that there's a shadow issue right there. Okay, E key, let's get rid of that. I said E key. Let's get rid of that. And put it back in there. E key. Maybe just a little expansion there. Just a little bit, just a little change. Okay, now we'll take this and kind of dial it in a little bit. Okay, that shadow issue I mentioned, you don't really see it. It all goes by too quick to care. So I think okay, I'll just say this. If you're a purist out there, this is going to bug you. So just to be nice, I'll accommodate the purists. Okay. Importantly, what we need to do is change it on the shadow layer specifically. Like that. And this should probably be the E key, like so. Okay. 1, 2. Boom. Probably a little bit there. Maybe a little more there. Maybe a little there. Mm-hmm. Right there, I'm feeling that is not quite right. Yeah, that's better. Okay. How we doing? 55. Not bad. Folks, I actually think we're done. I think we're done. Now, do I want to... I'm feeling like our shadows are a little bit weak. Yes, the pop that I'm looking for in Mel is sort of accomplished by that. That was a little too much. Okay. File, save. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this shot, which is number 256, hit Control R, change this to delete 6, delete 6. That will render. Let's switch back up to here. Go to scenes, 256, render. We're going to open a sequence at 8 frames a second. Drag it into the show. Turn off any resampling. And see how it plays. Here we go. Here we go. Ooh, yeah. Monkey. Boom. That's it. And then it's on to the next shot. That's it. And we are done. And as you guys know, there will be more later.